When we lose somebody unexpectedly, not only are you dealing with sadness, you're dealing with severe shock, with disbelief. This is a person, this is an idea, a dream, or hope that is part of us, that we believed would always be with us. And now we face a situation where that's not the case.
I really only know the experience of losing someone suddenly, both my father and my brother. It just hit really, really hard. Such a gut-wrenching loss.
My dad was a wonderful and honorable person. There was no goodbye. You can't expect people when they're dying to give you what you want.
My name is Christine Garrity. I'm the Director of Spiritual Care and Engagement at St. Monica Catholic Community. Initially, I trained as a clinical psychologist. I felt that God was calling me to be present to people when they were going through difficult times. I began working at St. Monica on staff in 2009. From day one, I was a part of the bereavement ministry. In terms of the work of grieving, there are different approaches to that. I think that at the heart of them all is, first of all, the courage that somebody has to step into their grief.
My name is Paula Staub-Polk, and I'm from Burbank, California. My occupation is I'm a registered nurse, I'm a funeral director, and I am also an end-of-life doula. When you are experiencing grief, it is different for everyone. You need to remember that you are not alone. It is a normal part of life, and anyone who is old enough to love is old enough to grieve.
When you lose someone suddenly versus when you expect that the person is going to die. There's an acronym in the grief world, it's called NASH. Did you lose the person naturally? Was this person lost through an accident? Was it a suicide? Was it a homicide? All of those things are really important information to know to help accompany people as they go through the grief process.
I'm Alexa Brandt. I live in Venice Beach. When Kirk was 18 and he was a raw foods vegan runner, he knew how to dance and he was a poet and he wrote rhymes, as he called them, all the time. He had actually had an essay published in Chicken Soup for the Teenage Soul. He was so creative and such a big personality, and I knew he had so much to give back to the world in his own unique style. Kirk's passing was definitely the hardest on my mom. I mean, his passing was difficult on the entire family. He was in a car accident and was helicoptered to a ICU unit. We just knew that he was in a coma, unconscious, and it turned out that it was irrevocable and he was never going to be able to get out of it. The four of us went in the room where we'd be taking him off of life support. He was very soothed by my mom's energy. Yeah, it was definitely let's just say, a very powerful experience to watch someone take their last breath. The sad part for me was knowing there were so many things he wanted. He really wanted to visit Ireland, if not move there. I was just thinking, he never made it to age 40. He wanted to get married and have children. He wanted to help people get healthy. Just knowing that he's just not going to have a chance to be able to do those things is heartbreaking.
I'm Bonnie Crocker in Venice Beach, California. Every person grieves differently just because of who they are and, of course, who they lost. I sort of only knew my dad as a kid because I lost him at 19, but I have such strong memories of him. I remember being very excited to, leave home and go to school. My dad would come up on the weekends. We'd go to a William and Mary game. We were just coming into this new phase of our relationship where it wasn't just like dad and little girl. I think he was starting to accept that I was going to grow up. And we had started to have really wonderful conversations about music and what I was studying at school. And I didn't know that I was only going to have freshman year with him. I remember he had a cough that wouldn't go away, and so my mom encouraged him to go to the doctor, and it was stage 4 lung cancer. He had been, the picture of health, truly. He had retired from this wonderful career in the FBI, and it's still kind of shocking because he was diagnosed with lung cancer on June 7th and died July 24th, 6 weeks later. There was no goodbye. You can't expect people when they're dying to give you what you want. We didn't even have enough time to come to terms with that diagnosis. He and my mom were empty nesters in the best way. They were finally gonna have some time together. I missed out, selfishly, on so much with him. He missed out on so much. It is little things like I didn't get to have a drink with him on my 21st birthday. And in the past few years, I've discovered that I love Manhattans, which he also loved. My dad never got to meet my husband, certainly wasn't at my wedding, except for when I walked down the aisle. Ray of sunshine. We just missed out on all of it.
Especially when we're young adults, we're trying to figure out our lives and we're trying to figure out what we're supposed to be doing. It is hard when we encounter something that we really never thought was going to happen.
What was interesting is within our family, each person had a different grieving experience. We had to honor that. And at some points that was hard. Kirk's passing, although it was also sudden, we got to have those 5 days with him in the hospital to really say goodbye. I definitely was going inward and was prayerful, and also it was really hard. He was in a coma and totally injured, and there wasn't another option. When Kirk passed, it really did impact my perception of mortality and longevity, because now in a family of 6, there were only 4 left. It just made me really think about, now is the moment.
My dad was a funeral director and my mentor. And one thing he taught me was, you may think you know all about grief and all about bereavement and all about mourning, but until it hits you, you really have not had the full experience.
As we continue through grief, one of the things that happens that's so important is that we start to realize, okay, I can still live my life, and it's going to be really different. And I have to figure out how I'm going to do that. But it's a journey, and it's not easy, but it's really important.
My mom has shared with me, I guess one of the moments where my dad knew that he wasn't going to live much longer. He said to my mom, "So I'm all over then." And she said, "No, you're just beginning."
You always wish you had more time, whether your child lives 1 minute or 100 years. You're always going to wish you had that extra day with someone.
Yeah.
In our case, extra minute. I would have loved an extra minute with them.
When we first lost Summer, it was really hard and heavy, and it was hard to sleep. It just everything was doom and gloom.
No matter what, you don't get over it. The grief is there all the time.